Welcome back to CFB Prime. I'm your co-host on this very special evening of this very special show, the Garnet Roost. I'm Nino Brown, and you see the man at the bottom of the screen. He is the maestro of this show, the Garnet Roost. That is Deep Fried Draft himself, Brian Bosarge. How we doing, bud?
We're doing good, man. We're going a day early tonight because I'm heading out to Chicago first thing in the morning. Never been, so looking forward to that this weekend.
Okay.
And we're gonna have a good time up there. But yeah, ready to talk some South Carolina football. Big win last week.
Yeah. There was a lot of good, but there was a couple
There was some
things we're
bad.
gonna have. Yeah, there was some bad. We'll talk about that. Episode 4 of the Garnet Roost. We're coming through. We're gonna keep going. We're working our way to the number one Gamecocks podcast in the nation. We're gonna get there one show at a time. All right,
That's
let's
right.
get into these rapid fire questions, my man. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. How many wins out of the next 4 games between Tennessee, Florida, Mizzou, and A&M?
I feel the safe way to go here is a split.
Okay.
I,
Okay.
I, I will have my prediction later at the end of the show, but I think they're going to fall this weekend. I think they beat Florida. I think they beat Florida coming off the bye week. I think they beat Mizzou, lose to A&M.
Well, that news of Wegman being out is big.
It
Okay.
is.
I'm not saying Max Johnson is a chump, but I think there's a step off. You know what I mean between the two. So I think that it'll be a dogfight
It
to the
does
end.
make them a little more gettable, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. That's my point. We got a little more of a chance in this one, especially being there. All right. Xavier Leggett, top 5 wide receiver in the class right now.
I just updated all of my rankings this weekend. You saw my top my top 125 dropped out. I currently have him as wide receiver 9 in this class,
Okay.
but he is I want to say was number 49 overall on my board. So I have and 48. I have 10 wide receivers in the top 50.
Love it. I love that.
This class I think is going to be really good, and I have Leggett just ahead, one spot ahead on my wide receiver board over his teammate Juice Wells.
Well, it's what you're doing on the field, right? Unfortunately,
Right.
Juice hasn't been able to get enough time. We're going to talk a little bit about Xavier later on in the show, but I just want to see where you had him.
Yeah.
Give me your sneakiest opponent left on the schedule. I think I know where you're going to go because you made a post about it, and I've been knocking the table about him since early in the year. But what do you got?
That non-conference game against the other Gamecocks, Jacksonville State, does not seem like it's going to be a fun out at all.
No.
Like I don't know. I mean, and I did make a post about it earlier. Jacksonville State, for those not scoring at home or not following Conference USA football, is currently 3-1 on the year, but they're 4-0 against the spread. Their only game they lost was against Coastal Carolina, and they did cover the spread on that. They covered in their other 3 games against UTEP, East Tennessee State, which I didn't know you could bet on games against FCS teams, but apparently some books let the day of the game
They open it
let
up.
you bet. They open it up. So I was able to hammer that home. And then last week they were a 6.5-point favorite at home against Eastern Michigan and covered easily. They won 21-0. I think they cover again tomorrow night against Sam Houston State as well. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with Jacksonville State and want to watch them, you're going to get every opportunity to do that over the next month because with their new TV contract with ESPN and CBS Sports Network this year, Conference USA is basically their October MACtion, like where the MAC has all their games during Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays during November. Conference USA has all of their conference games on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday nights throughout the month of October. So you'll be seeing a lot of Jacksonville State and the rest of the Conference USA crew on television. But they scare me a little bit because Rich Rodriguez can coach, and that non-conference game scares me.
Uh, listen. I'm with you. I agree. I've been talking about a couple of guys in Jacksonville State that I like, especially that wide receiver Sterling Galbane. He could be a killer for the Gamecocks. They seem to be having trouble with speed in that secondary. So he's a guy who's shifty and speedy. It'll be interesting, but keep sleeping on him. and they're just gonna keep putting up dubs, and then you're gonna wonder where they came from. Uh is Shane Beamer? Last question: is Shane Beamer and Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year candidate right now?
If they finish 10-2 and are in contention in the SEC, yes. If they finish 7-5 or 8-4, no.
Okay. At this very moment, would you say yes? He's a candidate right now.
No,
if you had to vote right now.
No, because I don't think they're going to run the table. So
Okay. All right. Let's get into one of my favorite segments of the show: the good, the bad, and the ugly in this win over Hale State. Give me the good.
there was a lot of good in this game if you watched it last Saturday night, and we have to start with Spencer Rattler,
Yeah.
who completed his first 18 passes, only threw 2 incompletions the entire game. Finished with 288 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, it was just awesome. And Xavier Legette, we've already talked about him.
Yep.
His first catch of the game, did he make those? Did he kill those angles on the Mississippi? Like they're pursuing down, crashing down, and he just
right by.
It looked like it almost looked like those old Bo Jackson highlights where he just erased angles.
Yeah.
And that's what it looked like. Legette's got legit. I think he's a 4.3, high 4.3, low 4.4 guy when they test. And, he hit the GPS had him at, 22 miles per hour, like twice during the game. I mean, that's 6 speed right there.
At what, 6'3", 225, 227? Like, that's how do you move like that as a guy like that?
And that's not even counting the first play of the second half, and they just let it go. And Rattler even underthrew the ball.
Yeah.
And he made an adjustment on it, catches the ball, and then just leaves the guy.
Pulls right away. Like, he just turned, scooped it low, and by the time he pulled the ball back in front of him in possession, he had already started pulling away. And I was just like, I don't understand how a man that big at 225 can just pull away from people like that. Because nowadays, you're looking at the guys that are pulling away. They're like a Tank Dell's type guy, 175, 185. Those are the ones that are it's crazy because he can be physical if he needs to, but he can burn right by you if he needs to, too. He's something else.
I don't think there's a doubt in my mind at this point, especially the way Jim Nagy's been tweeting about him like the last 3 weeks now. We're going to see him in Mobile.
Yeah. Now, you spoke about Rattler. The run game has been bad. We've been saying it for a while. They had some design runs for Rattler. Yeah. Like I see a couple.
And we asked for that last week.
Yes.
And
they're listening.
They are obviously they are. For another reason we'll talk about a little bit later that they obviously they listened. But Rattler. I mean, he's a good athlete, and I don't know if he's able to. And like I said, when he's not doing the off trying to fit the ball where it's not supposed to go. I mean, he's making plays with his feet. He's just putting he's throwing a very catchable ball to his guys.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had 4 or 5 incompletions this year with just straight drops.
Agreed.
He's put the ball right on the money. There was maybe one only. No, actually, I don't think it was any the other night, but it was definitely like in the other 3 games. So Rattler's been good with his feet. I mean, I think he's probably the leading rusher on, or at least he was until the other night, was the leading rusher on the team. He may still be.
He still is. Yeah, he still is.
So, which isn't good. But
no.
But it just he's one of the leading passers in the SEC, and he only had the 2 garbage time interceptions against Georgia. So he's been everything you could ask through the first 4 games of the season.
He's carried over from the last 3 games of last season, 100%. It wasn't just a flash in the pan. Let's talk the bad here.
We talk about the running game a lot as the bad. We're not going to do that here. Where's the edge rushers at? They're non-existent. I mean, Jordan Strawn had a strip sack against Will Rogers the other night, closing out the game. That's really the only edge pressure they had the entire game and have had in the first 4 games.
Yeah.
Like, all of their pass rush is coming up the middle, which isn't a bad thing, but normally when you get that pressure up the middle, that opens up those guys on the end to finish, but we're not getting that in these first 4 games outside of the occasional rush from Jordan Strawn. So, but what you're getting is great up the middle. JT Sanders, Tonka Hemingway, Alex Huntley was awesome against Mississippi State.
Oh.
But where's Drew Twazama at? You know, he was 5.5 sacks last year at UAB. He's been non-existent. JT Gear finally played the other night, but he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, where are some of these younger guys at? You know, that you've recruited over the last 2 years. You've had nobody step up at that position. I mean, they're clearly missing Jordan Birch, who transferred out. To Oregon. And had a big game last week.
Yeah.
So they're clearly missing him off the edge, but you've got to have other guys step up. Brad Johnson he may be hurt as well, and he's another guy that contributed a lot last year. So you've got to get some pressure from the edges here, or it's not, or teams are going to start figuring that out.
Yeah,
the how to slow down the interior rush and make those outside guys. The only other pressures are coming from the linebackers.
Right.
Debo Williams and Stone Blanton are the other guys that are getting pressure on the quarterback. So you've got to start getting those guys, or else your pass defense is going to continue to get tortured because you're having it's
10 seconds back there. You know what I mean?
Right.
It can roll out. The thing is, like you said, it's all coming up the gut. So the problem is you pick a side and roll out, and you're buying yourself time with a secondary that's kind of struggling to stay with people outside of 3 seconds. You know what I mean? So it's like those two combinations don't work. And even your linebacker pressure, that's also coming up the gut because they're just shooting the gap that the interior guys are giving them. They need the outside pressure. Keep them guys in the pocket, so then them interior guys are just eating them up, and you know, it also helps because then your offense gets back on the field, and maybe they can get into a rhythm here and find that lost run game that doesn't seem to be around. I like I said, I love Huntley. He had 8 total pressures and 2 sacks, and Tonka seems to be turning into a run stuffing like machine. It's good. It's giving me like he looks like Vince Wilfork out there, just like stay in one spot. You ain't moving him. You ain't running by him. He's gonna take you down, or he's holding you up for the next guy to take down.
Yeah, he really started coming on like the last 6 games of the season last year. Him and Huntley both.
Yeah,
you started seeing emerge towards the end of last season. That's carried over here, and then you're adding in JT Sanders this year, and it's just you got a great in 3-man rotation on the inside, and you're able to keep those guys fresh for the most part,
exactly.
Throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
So that's been good to see.
Greer, I'm really concerned with Greer because I thought coming over from Syracuse had a dominant defense last year. Again, this year have another dominant defense. I figured he would be an instant plug-in for you guys, and he just I just don't know.
Well, he hasn't really played the first 3 games, so that's
right. What do you have?
Today was his first game back, and I don't know how many snaps he played the other night.
I think it was like 20%. It's not many. I don't know what 20%.
So they're easing him in, and I guess the same way with Twazama from UAB, the UAB transfer. Maybe he just doesn't know the scheme yet.
But yeah,
but that's an issue. Those guys need to get up to speed here pretty quick because you talked about those next 4 games. I mean, Mizzou's undefeated right now. Florida's playing good. Tennessee's, playing.
Flip a coin.
Where are they? Texas A&M has played better, but now so you've got those next 4 games coming up over the 5 weeks. You've got to get some pass rush here.
Yeah,
with those teams coming up.
Agree 100% with you. And there's only one topic left to go to. Let's go to the ugly.
Oh, it seemed like they were hell bent on stopping Woody Marks the other night. Like that was the whole game plan. Like if we shut down Marks, we win the football game. And they did. They shut down Marks and they won the football game, but it wasn't pretty getting there.
Oh, my God.
They had some just blown coverages on play action the other night. We talked about it, and we even talked about it last week in previewing the game. Who was going to be who was their go-to receiver? They didn't have one, right? We said that. Will Rogers hasn't looked like himself.
He did this one. Yeah.
Because Tulu Griffin, oh my goodness. 7 catches, 256 yards. It was not a good night for DQ Smith because you saw number 1 trailing a lot on these plays, and it it was unbelievable how, and it wasn't just on the go routes either. He was just catching the ball and running by guys.
Yeah.
Emanwari had some blown coverages there. I think
They
he
cheated him too, and he
yeah,
still got
yeah.
burnt right by him.
He beat O'Donnell Fortune once.
Yep.
The only guy that didn't get beat up was Marcellus Dial,
who doesn't get beat up. Yeah.
Who doesn't get he's easily their number one corner or number one DB at all.
Right.
But so yeah, that was a little hairy there the other night watching that.
Yeah, it seemed like every play was Tulu Griffin for 30 plus yards, Tulu Griffin for 60 yards. I'm like, oh my goodness, just they were sending help, spying the safety over the top, bringing him in down. It didn't even matter. He was just he was having a way. He literally like he's everybody but Dahl. All right, let's talk. We spoke about run game. Got to find a guy. There was a guy who looked like he was doing something. Mario Anderson, he did something for us. Tell me about it.
Well, we said last week, hey, maybe we start giving the RB1 snaps to Mario Anderson. He didn't get the start, but he carried the ball 26 times.
Yes.
Against Mississippi State. Only 88 yards, 3.4 yards a carry, but 66 yards after contact. See, and that's just something they weren't getting with DK Joyner. He was, if he got hit, he went down. Mario Henderson did not go down on first contact at all. They finally have that running back where, hey, if we need 2 yards, we can get 3.
Yes.
And so they seen that, and all indications are this week that he's going to be that guy. Mm-hmm. And we did also ask that, hey, let's manufacture some passes to Joyner, and they did that as well the other night. So it seems like they're coming around on it. What I think they finally saw in Anderson in practice was, okay, how does he pick up the blitz? Because if you're going to play running back in the SEC, you've got to be able to pick that blitz up. And he straight up stoned a guy on the Leggett touchdown.
Yeah. Lit him up.
Like you said, that play doesn't that 76-yard catch and run doesn't happen if Mario Anderson doesn't pick that guy up in the hole.
Yeah. He was coming untouched, and he just came across and just blasted him, held him right up. Rattlers is eating grass if he doesn't pick that up, and it could be a fumble strip sack to the crib because there was nobody there. I was super impressed after that, and I was locked into the pass, bro. He did well the whole game. 66 yards after contact is just dumb, especially when you had 88 total on the day. You know what I mean? Like,
especially the touchdown where he grinded that baby in.
Yes,
that was awesome to see. Would you like to see more than 3.4 a carry? Yeah. And maybe we get that average up a little bit going forward. Maybe this week against Tennessee, we'll see how it goes. But it was good to see him out there, and what a story, right? You don't see many Division II to the SEC transfers have success. If you don't really see many at all.
And
you're seeing this now with from Newberry College to South Carolina here, and lighting it up in the Southeastern Conference. Good for Mario Anderson. Good for South Carolina too.
Good for finally sticking to their guns. You know what I mean? Finding the guy and going with it.
Right. What Nino? I left this topic open to you for discussion. So what do you want to talk about here in this segment?
All right. For as we talked about the run game here, and for weeks now we've been bashing the O-line and not being able to get any kind of forward motion in the run game or figure it out. But for all the shit that we've given the O-line and run game, let's talk about how they're keeping Rattler pretty clean. I gave you an over-under 40 sacks, right, in episode 2 because they had 8 right out the gauntlet there in week 1. But over the last couple of weeks, they've only allowed, 3. Nick, I'm going to mess up his name, Nick Gaguglio. He's been nails for the Gamecocks. After week 1, he's only allowed 5 total pressures, 86 PFF grade. And over 4 weeks in pass pro, I mean, he's keeping them super, super upright and clean. Wanamaker, who we were kind of like, I don't know about after that first week with a 35 PFF grade and kind of let everybody run by him. He's been pretty good, only 4 total pressures. I believe he allowed a sack. Was it in this game? I think so. But talk to me about how the O-line coach there, Lonnie Teasley, was able to turn this part around because it looked very, very grim week 1.
I mean, it seems like they almost went back to the basics a little bit, right? You know, like we tore it down to the studs, and
Yep.
like, okay, we got to get this figured out. Obviously, whatever they had planned all summer or whatever, it didn't work.
No, no, no.
It didn't work.
No,
I mean, North Carolina, who had like 9 sacks in all of 2022, had 9 sacks in week 1.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you had to tear it down and figure it out. And it
Right.
helped when you could basically tinker with a lot of options against Furman, right?
Yeah.
So you were able to get the ball rolling there, and then you put up a great showing against Georgia, right?
Yeah.
And how many 5-star, 4-star guys were you blocking in that game? And you could say, okay, if it works against Georgia,
Keep it
it
going.
can probably work against everybody else, right?
Yeah.
And you gave up, one of the sacks you gave up this week against Mississippi State was just on a well-timed blitz call.
Right.
Jet Johnson coming just shooting right, and that's what he does best. He's one of the best A-gap blitzers of any linebacker in college football.
Right.
You know that he's going to make money in the NFL just because he can time
Shoot
that
that
up
A-gap.
so well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was one of the sacks. I don't even fault them for that. That's just a great play call, timing, whatever. You know, is it crazy that this whole thing settles when you put a true freshman in at left tackle? And it seems from the moment that Tree Babalade has gotten in at left tackle, the offensive line has settled.
Yeah.
Is
Agreed.
Is that crazy or what to think that a true freshman left tackle could settle an entire offensive line essentially?
In the
I'm not
SEC.
saying that's the reason it happened, but you know, it's the timing of it is
Coincidental? You know what I mean? Like, you know,
I mean, it is perhaps coincidental, but it's good to see it, and he played a pretty good game the other night as well. So
yeah.
But yeah,
Everybody seems to be clicking now.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's like, you know, I said I go to this thing. I said earlier they need to find an identity. You know, when we're talking about them, I think they've kind of found their identity. They know where through the rotation because they've rotated guys a lot in these last couple of weeks. They're going through like just rotating who they're going to put in. You got the starters, but we're going to keep guys fresh. We'll rotate this guy in. I think it's working, and I think they know their role now. Who's the dudes, and it looks good. Like I said, I'm very impressed because that first week I was like, oh man, like I know North Carolina's defense got some guys on it, you know, Gray, you know, at the linebacker position. There's a few others, but it's like there's no way. There was a DN that I think had a 99 PFF grade against us, and he was just eating us apart. He had like 4 or 5 tackles for
I
loss.
presume that was Kamon Rucker.
Yes, yeah. I was like, holy cow, we can't stop anybody.
5.5 tackles for loss in that game.
Yeah, they couldn't do anything, but they turned it around. And, you know, for as much crap as we give them, I got to give them, you know, their flowers in this one. So let's keep that going forward. Keep Spencer Rattler upright. And when you see what he can do when he's in a clean pocket. All right.
18 for his first 18.
Stupid.
Keep him
Absolutely
clean.
stupid. Let's talk about this week. I got mixed vibes about this week. I think it's going to be interesting when we get to the end of this show and we talk about the prediction. But talk to me about Tennessee and the Vols and what are you feeling here?
Tennessee's 3-1, 0-1 in the conference. They beat a hapless Virginia team.
Yeah.
They beat Austin Peay. Who cares? And they struggled in that game.
Yeah.
They spanked UTSA last week. But
they didn't have Frank Harris.
No Frank Harris in that game. So, and they got obliterated by Florida. But last week against UTSA, 303 yards on the ground. They've got a nice 3-headed monster at running back. Jalen Wright's already over 500 yards rushing. Jabari Small, I think, has NFL talent. Dylan Sampson's already got 5 touchdowns on the ground this year. But they win or lose. Tennessee wins or loses this game on the arm of Joe Milton, right? And we know he's got the arm. The man could stand at the goal line and throw it to the other goal line. We know that.
Yeah.
But where's the ball going to go?
Yeah.
Does he have the touch?
Yeah.
Who is their go-to receiver this year? Last year they had Hyatt. They had Cedric Tillman. We knew who the guys were. I feel like, Squirrel White's got 17 catches already this year. Brew McCoy's got 15 catches and a touchdown. He's a former 5-star wide prospect out of high school. You like their tight end, McAllen Castles. who's got 5 balls already. He's a big guy, 6'5", 252. He can block as
Yeah.
well. So there's that, and that's what helps. That's why their run game has been so efficient so far. So South Carolina keyed on the run last week, but I don't know if they'll be able to do that again. Or what lessons can they? I mean, I guess that's the key. What can they take away from that tape against Mississippi State? Okay, this worked in the run, but we gave up this. What can we do to get a combination of both to make it both work out? We'll see. I'm
not scared of, and it's not. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to him, but I'm not scared of McCoy. Really, I feel like Dahl can lock him down. What I'm scared of is Squirrel White because of the fact of the speed. If we're going to see what we saw last week, Squirrel White might go for 200 in the first half because he gets behind the defenders quickly. You know what I'm saying? And that's the issue. And he gets hands. If Joey could put it there, I call Joe MC Hammer because can't touch this. You don't have touch. It's hard to find for him. And when he gets it, the ball looks beautiful. But out of 10 times he's trying to throw a touch pass, 3 out of the 10 are gonna look beautiful. I can't trust that. You know what I'm saying? And if they can put pressure on Joe, right, and get him to be kind of the OCP game, he looked uncomfortable when they were putting pressure in the pocket for a guy who's normally just sat there. Don't even care. Like at 245, he's willing to take a linebacker up the gut. I've seen him stay there and throw bullets. He was just like kind of out there in space in that game. He can't do that against the Gamecocks.
I wonder if they'll try and play more man this week.
Yeah,
because that was a lot of zone.
Last
week.
And they got smoked. Yeah.
So I wonder if they try to switch it up to a little more man coverage this week. But they've got an offensive lineman, Tennessee, their left tackle, John Campbell Jr. That guy's a fun guy to watch block. I can tell you that. South Carolina's going to have some issues. Their edge issues probably not going to get helped on his side of the field. Their linebacker, Tennessee's linebacker group there's 3 NFL players.
Yes.
On their linebacker group, Aaron Beasley, 16 run stops already this year. Bryson Eason, Roman Harrison, all those guys are going to play in the NFL, and you're looking forward to this Kamal Haddon Xavier Legette matchup, right? He's been targeted 22 times, but only give up 8 catches for 41 yards so far, and five pass breakups already. Yeah. So that should be I wonder if South Carolina will try to move him around, move Legette around a little bit to try to avoid that. Yeah,
I would hope so. I think that would be the best bet. Is Brown gonna play the other wide receiver there?
It sounds like yes.
Okay, because that will help.
Yeah, it does sound like he's gonna play. Because Omega Blake didn't really. He didn't really have a. He did have a drop, but he couldn't get his feet down on the sideline.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but he was kind of like non-existent outside of that play. I remember there was one more target down on the third quarter that they were at him, but like you went from being a major factor a week ago to kind of being MIA in this one. They're going to need all the weapons here. Yeah. If Tennessee's going to bring the heat, do we see more of these design tuck and goes by Spencer Rattler?
We very well could, and I think another thing that's going to be going to be a thing for them to have success on offense. South Carolina, I'm speaking of, is Trey Knox again. He's really starting.
You're good with him now.
Involved. Yeah, we're good. We're always good. We just don't want him to drop.
He had butterfingers. Yeah, he had butterfingers.
But
that was a nice touchdown.
Yes, he's such a weapon with the ball in his hands, man. Because he's so good in the open field. Mm-hmm. I think he's gonna be drafted probably in that 4th, 5th round area next year as well, if he comes out. So I think could be a big factor in this game. But when we're talking about weapons, and it was mentioned on the broadcast because he was out on the field for one play, and they let it go. And they said they asked Shane Beamer about Nicholas Harbor.
What's the deal?
He said, at some point, they've got to cut him loose. He said, at some point, we've got to know. He said, against Georgia, you wanted to play the guys that you knew, right? because you were in the game.
Yeah.
So you wanted to play the guys you knew were ready. But at some point, you've got to let number 8 go out there and just trial by fire. We've got to see what Nicholas Harbor can do. And at 6'5", 240, running a 4.3 40, I want to see this big dude out there just body bagging SEC defenders.
In regular time, not garbage time.
Not garbage time against Furman. I want to see him against Tennessee early in the game. Let's go to him. Let's make plays. Let's turn Nick Harbor loose.
They did. Look, it was week 4. Texas decided. We all know they don't let true freshmen play. You know, they don't. But Jonte Cook played. He had 2 big plays. They had that big long catch. You know now it's a quarter of the way through. I think it's time in this game to also let Pup take the training wheels off Pup Howard.
Yeah.
Let him be the guy that's always in Joe Milton's grill. Get him off, being comfortable in the pocket. He's got that athleticism. You start having to make them move that line around, right? And then you can get, Slade can go in there and Sloan and just they can mix it up. And they're going to need to. I think they're really going to. They can't let them be comfortable. And they can't let them just run the ball down their throat with that 3-headed monster. I think if you can get interior pressure, which they're good at, right? But you're going to have to bring my guy up home in case they go out to the outside runs. Kilgore going to have to come in.
Yeah. The key to this game, I think, is going to be them keeping Tennessee in off script situations.
Yeah.
2nd long, 3rd and long.
Yes.
And they are capable of doing that, like you said, because of that interior pressure on the run game and, setting them up in second and unfavorable situations. I think that's going to be the key. Hopefully it'll happen.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Let's just, before we wrap this one up, give me a prediction. I think this is going to be a funny one.
I want to say South Carolina's going to win this game. I really do. But just every bone in my body says something's going to happen late in the game, and they're going to lose this one 30-27 late in the game.
I got it the opposite way, the same score. I think it's what I've been pounding the table about. I just don't trust Joe. Okay, I think South Carolina's found out what's working for them. Okay, they're going to stick to that. I don't trust Joe. And late in the game, South Carolina's going to have the lead. Milton's going to try to drive him down there, and I think that the defense is going to hold strong. And I'm not saying they get a turnover or anything like that, but I think they hold strong, turnover on downs, whatever it may be, and they catch the dub here. I think for as much as we don't trust the run game in that O-line and run, I don't trust Joe. So that evens out. When you bring out the rest of the factors, I think South Carolina's got just as many weapons, on the offensive side, if not better weapons on the offensive side, to be totally honest with you. Would you think coming into it that you would say you trusted Rattler more than you trusted Joe Milton? Knowing what he was the year before?
I also wonder how much Tennessee's holding over from that game last year where South Carolina just beat the dog shit out of them. So I'm wondering how much animosity or bulletin board they're holding over from that game as well.
It's a different quarterback behind that, though, right?
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, Milton did play in that game, unfortunately.
But that was his first one. Was that the first game? Yeah.
Because
so
that's where Hooker tore his ACL late in that game.
Right.
So we'll see. It will be nice. It would be nice if they can get this win this week and go into the bye week 3-2.
Yeah, it would be a good way to keep vibes rolling. You look good against Mississippi State.
And then that bye week is where we can get Nick Harbor in the offense.
Yes, and like 25 plays. You know what I mean? Like get him a good chunk. All right, this has been a good one. The Garnet Roost, Brian Bosarge. I'm Nino Brown, CFP Nation. You all have a wonderful night. Let's catch that W.